Well, the burial sites are absolutely fascinating, and there's a long story associated with the burial sites. But the two main burial sites that are in this landscape directly behind us, they have actually changed the story of Australian occupation. And it's not just the antiquity, which is back beyond, certainly beyond 26,000, I believe. The male, the big burial, the Mungo man site up here, Mungo 3 as he's sometimes called, is almost certainly 36,000 years old. 36,000 years. How do we get our mind around that? That's the first dramatic example. But the next feature is these burials had been treated with great ritual. The man, for example, fully articulated, a big man, bigger than you, Mike, about nearly 2 metres tall. He'd been buried in a fully articulated fashion in a grave dug in the sand, in the beach sand on the downwind side of the dune over there. And his body had been painted in ochre, whether the painted anointing on the flesh itself or sprinkling over the grave. It was hard to tell. And that at 36,000 years ago. Now, modern people weren't even in Europe at that time, or were just coming into Europe, let alone having such a sophisticated concept of death. And the anointing of the body, does that not speak of some sort of cultural reality of life, of an afterlife? So here were these people 36,000 years ago, certainly with a level of cultural sophistication that is absolutely mind-boggling. And they were living with and as it were, living, loving and dying on the very shores on which we're sitting 36,000 years ago. Now somehow that has to be absorbed into the psyche, the mental understanding of every Australian. We often think we have not much Australian history. We've got in Victoria, well, Ned Kelly and Phar Lap, great icons. But we don't realise that we're sitting on this immense depth of rich human and landscape history, and it's popping out of the earth here in Mungo in front of us.